Okay, there we go. Yeah. So any other questions?
No, sir.
Sir, I have a
One by
question.
one. Okay.
Can I? Sir,
Yeah, Satya, go ahead.
so you have informed that we have labs every week, means after few days, after few weeks means.
Every
Uh,
alternate week you have lab. So on
so when is
Saturday,
that going to be?
Saturday
Ah,
morning 9 to 1. Sorry,
okay,
10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
okay.
Okay.
Is it compulsory to attend?
Yes, all 5 sessions you should attend compulsory because there are 2 credits dedicated to the lab component.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Means I'm attending this course parallelly with my degree program, means BTech.
Okay.
That's why I was asking.
So you have
We
timing
don't
issue,
get,
timing clashes or something like that?
yes, we don't get holidays on Saturdays.
Okay. I really want you to write it to us on
Okay,
the course ID as well as write it to support, okay? Letting
okay,
us know about your timing constraint. So we'll see what we
okay.
can do. But
Yeah, thank you.
lab sessions are compulsory because it is an essential component of the course itself. Okay,
Okay,
I'll see what I can
so
do about timing.
I can write it on a support email ID, right?
Yeah, support and just put it on this CS1102. Okay, CC it
Okay,
to us.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, Dhananjay, go ahead. Hello. Yeah, anyone else who have query?
Oh, sir, one more doubt if you don't mind.
Hmm.
Sir, in GRPA 5, I attempted it and I don't know why I'm getting incorrect as the answer there. And I was like, I didn't really get what was the input in the test case.
Hmm. Uh, Let me just share my screen. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, Krishnan, do you want to take it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I mean, you don't need to worry about the input of the test case because it is not relevant to this one. Okay. You just need to do the operation which is asked. Like move only the file one present in the dir one to the empty directory details. You have to perform only this operation. That's all.
Okay. Okay.
With
So
script, yeah, with batch script, you have to do. I mean, once it's done, it will be automatically resolved. Okay. It will be test case will be passed.
the point he's trying to make it is that you don't need to know whether the file one is, you need to, maybe you would like to learn ls and see whether file one is present or di1. You don't need to do that. Assume that this file underscore one is present in your current working directory. Given that information and given this information, what will be the steps you would do ideally? Okay, this is
Okay.
a given information. Given this information, what necessary steps will you do one by one for the command that you put it here? Okay, so that way you should be able to get. And the issue with the test case, right? If you are writing your code to ensure that all the test cases pass, you may encounter into the corner cases where it may fail. Okay, so I want
Okay.
you to not think about how I can get the test case passed, but I want you to think about what the operation is asking you to do exactly as is. Okay, in this scenario I can understand that you may want to do ls and see, okay, what is there in here, where is your dir1, where is your dir2, and how will you do by that. But assuming that all of these things are true, what set of commands you will use one by one to do this operation is what we are asking you in this particular question.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
So one more thing, like, do we have access to the bash script, like the original script here? Like, if we type out some commands, like, would they be actually altered in the script or is it locked?
No, no, the way you will put it, right, it will run as is. So whatever you put it in here as a command, it will run as a script on standard input.
Okay.
Okay, that all these concepts you'll learn as we go along. Okay. So just think of these operations. If given these conditions are true, what will be the set of commands that will be
Oh,
needed? Okay.
yep, got it, sir.
Something similar you can also simulate in your own system, assuming that you have a file one in a directory one. So you can create all those things and test your commands and then put all those solutions here. Right? That can also be done.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yes, Ian, go ahead, explain. I'll just show the. Just don't
Yeah.
tell him the exact answer, okay?
Yes, sure. Yeah. So basically, I was just checking what the question was and the contents of week one. So, yeah. So whatever is asked in there can be done with whatever is taught in week one. So the commands taught in week one. So just go over the lectures of week one and see. So there will be multiple commands. So see which command sounds or seems befitting to this thing which is asked you to do. So obviously it won't be like a question won't be coming directly from something like the exactly the same way which is done in the lecture. So just see which command may be similar to that and then see how you can use that to do something here. So you can also use the man command. So that is also taught in week one. So how you can use man to learn more about other commands. So just try to learn about a command which you think is similar to what is being shown in the output here, and then you can do this with just the comments not in week one.
Okay, sure. I'll try again. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Apart from that, I would like to just inform you. You can use different whatever the resources we have already listed in the general page. You can use that. And in addition, if you want to read something, right, there are some books which we would like you to which may interest you in reading further and knowing more about the shell. One is Classic Shell Scripting by Arnold Robbins and Nelson H.F. Beebe, and the other one is How Linux Works by Brian Watts. Okay, so yeah. So any other questions you guys have?
Sir, could you please like type out the names in the chat box if possible, so that I could copy them and save them?
Okay, I put all both the books in the chat section. Apart from that, I hope that you guys know that the origin of the Linux, right? So it is inspired by the Unix operating system. So there is a one classic book, the design of the Unix operating system by Bash. Okay, this is very good book which will give you an overview of why the Unix was designed the way it is, and if you read the other books, right, how Linux works, in there you may understand how it is derived from the Unix. Okay, just to give you a brief history, right. Uh, the Unix was derived first come to existence in around 1970. Okay, around that time you had really the memories used to be in KBs, right? And even then people used to do a lot of computation for research purpose or defense purpose or something like that sort. So they wanted a system where which can interact with multiple users, which should be multitasking and it should be multi-user, right? And to solve this problem, the AT&T Bell Lab internally they developed this operating system called Unix. Okay, So the way that operating system was designed, right, the way it's what do you call it? The file structure, file hierarchy, or different utilities they had, right, is something which is derived in the Linux. Okay, so Linux. The reason why Linux came into the existence, prime reason was this Unix operating system was proprietary, right? Not anyone and everyone can use it. So you need to have a license for that. So in around 1991, Linus Torvald first came up with the kernel, which interacts with your hardware, and this kernel is responsible for managing the hardware resources and make them available to the respective programs, whichever is asking for the resources. So it is kind of a manager between your actual program and the hardware. So he came up with that uh, Linux kernel, and with GNU utilities, which is essentially the command line programs which you are learning in this particular course, right? Where like those and this kernel, come, they were combined together into building the first Linux operating system as such. Okay, so till 2000, year 2000, Linux didn't have a really large you know, like most of the people were using either Windows Server for a lot of server based utilities. It is only after year 2000, I think, Linux took over Windows, and now it almost 85% of the mobile systems and almost around 99% of the servers runs on Linux operating system, which is really important for especially ES course, where you may want to have a flavor of the Linux installed on, say, IoT device, right? You want to have an operating system which will interact with the hardware resources, and we can maybe work with C or maybe Python language to do some of the operations you desire or automate some tasks. So, which is why this course is introduced in at the foundation level of the ES course. Yeah. So, any more questions you guys have? Please raise your hand. I will take one by one. Okay. I hope all of you are gone through the week one content so far. Yeah, Muthu, go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I am very much new to Linux, sir.
Okay.
So I am little bit confused. What is shell and what is script?
Okay. So, yeah. Sayan, do you want to take this question?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Hmm.
Yeah, so basically the thing is that in Linux, right? So Linux is just the kernel, as sir mentioned. So kernel is just a small part of the operating system, the very important part, but it's a small part of the operating system which directly talks with the hardware. So any request you make or anything you want to do on your system, in the end, something has to be done on your hardware. So all that translation into hardware calls and all is done by the kernel. So Linux is just a kernel, and then on top of the kernel, you also need some software to interact with the kernel. So the user cannot go and directly type the things to the kernel. So they also need some user-friendly way to interact with them. So things like, let's say, the UI, right? So GUI. So there's some folder you double click and something like that. So all those things are present in the user space. So that's outside the kernel. So those are also part of the operating system. So in general, the operating system is broken into two parts. One is the kernel and one is the shell. So shell, you can imagine something like a C shell. So something which encapsulates what is inside. So the kernel is the core of the operating system which talks to the hardware, whereas the shell in general, the term is used for any part of the operating system which interacts between the kernel and the user. So on top of the shell, obviously the other applications lie which run, and so in this context, in the week one assignments context, shell refers to basically the terminal where we are typing, right? So you must have gone through the lectures and professor is typing on a black terminal with white text. So that is a text way of the user giving some instruction to the shell, which then translates that into some kernel code, which goes to the kernel. So that is what shell is. So in there, you would have seen that we write just one line and press enter and something happens. So, but then imagine you want to write multiple lines, so you want to do multiple things one after the other.